First and foremost, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for him, this would not be possible. Low Nose Boxing. Hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, subscribe. Now you know that I haven't made a Teofimo Lopez video in quite some time. And you already know, if you follow my content, that I'm one of Teofimo Lopez's biggest supporters. And as a supporter of Teofimo Lopez, I've held him accountable for things he's done in the past, things that he said, not taking certain fights. But nevertheless, he's still my personal favorite fighter, right? Now, I haven't made videos about Teo because there haven't been any positive things to talk about regarding Teofimo Lopez and his career right now. You know, I never made a video about the Subaru Matias incident. I don't care about that. You know, like I said before, I don't make videos about gossip and nonsense. That's a video that I would like to make regarding them fighting inside the ring. That's all I care about, right? So I don't care about the nonsense. There hasn't been anything positive going on with Teo, especially with Turki Al-Ashiki, which is going to be a part of what we're talking about right now. Shakur Stevenson has recently called out Teofimo Lopez on Twitter, and Teofimo Lopez has replied. He replied, to my knowledge, and he said, like I told Arnold Barboza, be careful what you wish for. Now, the topic of this video is it clout chasing or is it for real? And I say that on Shakur's side, on Shakur's end. Is it a clout chase or is it a real call out? The reason why I say this is because the world knows that Teofimo Lopez is no longer tied to Turki Al-Ashiki, right? Teofimo Lopez is not getting the turkey bag no more. Shakur Stevenson is a Turki Al-Ashiki fighter. Turki Al-Ashiki has shown in the past when one of his fighters chooses to fight someone that does not do business with them, he's sort of like, he don't want nothing to do with them, right? So why would Shakur Stevenson fight Teofimo Lopez for possibly, let's say, without Turkey involved, $2-3 million, when he can fight somebody else on Riyadh season for $5 to $7 million? Who knows, right? So my thing is that if it's a real call out, maybe Shakur Stevenson and Subaru Matias, two guys that are calling Teofimo out on the Riyadh season side of the fence, maybe they should advocate to Turki Al-Ashiki to put his pride to the side and start working with Teofimo Lopez again so they can fight Teofimo Lopez, right? So that's my question. Do I believe Shakur Stevenson really wants to fight Teofimo Lopez? And do I believe Subaru Matias wants to fight Teofimo Lopez? Absolutely. But it's all up to Turkey. Now for Teofimo Lopez, right? He's been getting a lot of slack lately. He's been out here turning down fights. He turned down the Devin Haney fight. Before that, he turned down a Subaru Matias fight. He turned down a Brian Norman Jr. fight. Teofimo Lopez has some redemption to do, but the redemption is not based on his performance inside the ring, because in Teofimo Lopez's last in-ring performance, he had a very, very, very good performance. He outclassed Arnold Barboza, who's a very formidable #1 contender at the time. He shut him out 12 rounds to nothing. He put up a masterclass. But Teo seems to have burnt his bridges with Turki Al-Ashiki, right? And without Turki Al-Ashiki, we have to look at the landscape. What's really available for Teo? Oscar De La Hoya has recently stated that he would like to do business with Teofimo Lopez, but what does Oscar have for Teofimo Lopez? He got Jose Ramirez. We don't want to see that. He has Arnold Barboza rematch. We don't want to see that. He has Ryan Garcia. Here's my thing about the Ryan Garcia fight. Ryan Garcia, if Ryan Garcia was coming off of a knockout over Rolly Romero, which was after the controversial beatdown of Devin Haney, even though he did not get the win, I would say yeah, because Teo fights to the level of his competition. Ryan Garcia right now has to rebrand himself. He got to rebalance. So Teo fighting Ryan Garcia, I don't want to see that. Because if Teo goes in there and fights down to Ryan Garcia's level, it could be a dangerous fight for Teo. Teo is the type of fighter for me that should only fight twice a year, only against elite level competition, because that's the only time that he shows out, or if his back is to the wall, right? Which brings me to Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson is also a pound for pound fighter, a fighter who is part of the quote unquote 4 Young Kings or Fantastic 5, both him and Teofimo Lopez respectively, right? So that's a very intriguing fight. Shakur Stevenson, just like Teofimo Lopez, is coming off of a very, very, very impressive performance over an undefeated. He was against an undefeated, highly qualified #1 contender in William Cepeda, just like Teo did with Arnold Barboza. So that's a fight I would definitely like to see for sure. And the only way that fight could happen is if Turkey gets involved. Because if Turkey's not going to be involved in that fight, why would Shakur fight Teo on another platform, another promotional company, when he can make more money, the most money with Turkey? That's why Shakur Stevenson needs to advocate to Turkey Al Sheikh. This is a fight that can be built up. This is a fight that needs to be in New York City, not in Riyadh season, in New York City. Teofimo Lopez, we already know, is a New York fighter. Despite what people say, they hate on him and say he's not from New York. He came up in the New York area. Shakur Stevenson is from Newark, New Jersey. And this fight could be bigger because, like I said before, I hate to use race into it, but Teofimo Lopez said things about the black people, the black fan base, the black boxers, and he's also said things about Puerto Rican fan base and the Puerto Rican fighters, right? Shakur Stevenson is a black American, half Puerto Rican fighter. So he could utilize this and really generate the backing of the Puerto Rican fan base and the African American fan base. And make no mistake about it, Teofimo Lopez, despite all the things that he said, he's an enigma because he still gets a lot of support from the African American fan base and the Puerto Rican fan base as well. And a lot of it, I believe, is because despite Teo saying things that he shouldn't say, his antics that I don't agree with, Teo does a lot of things that I do admire. He's a people's champion. He congregates with the people. He's out there signing autographs. He goes to the Olympics, not the Olympics, to the amateur events, and gives back to the boxing community. So that's why fans still admire Teofimo Lopez, even though a lot of fans have turned their backs on him, right? So with that being said, this fight could generate a lot of buzz. And as far as stylistically, I know a lot of people are going to be in their feelings and be like, oh, Shakur Stevenson beats Teo easily just because they don't like Teo personally, right? But if you really look at it, this is a 50-50 fight when it's all said and done. And I'm going to tell you why. Teofimo Lopez has shown in the past that he does not know how to effectively cut off the ring. Shakur Stevenson may be the best pure boxer in the game right now and might have the best legs in the game right now, right? Now, Shakur Stevenson does not feel comfortable when he's in the ring with somebody that has power, speed, and reflexes. He gets too timid. He'll move around too much. He'll move out of position. And that could cost him against the Teofimo Lopez. And I already know what y'all gonna say. Oh, well, Teo hasn't shown power at 140. He's not knocking nobody out. Okay. But at 135, he was. Shakur Stevenson is a natural 126 pounder. So best believe if Shakur Stevenson were to move to 140 and fight Teofimo Lopez, Teo's power would still have the same effect on a smaller guy moving up from 135 to 140 as it did when Teo was at 135. An example, when Danny Garcia was 140 knocking everybody out, he moved to 147, right? The knockout stopped. But when he went in there with a former 140 pounder and a Brandon Rios and an Adrian Granados, Danny Garcia was still knocking those guys out. So Teo's power is still enough to hurt and possibly knock out the smaller guys like the Shakur Stevensons and Devin Haney's, Javante Davis, the guys that came from 135. Teo's power hasn't shown effectiveness against the bigger, natural 140 pounders, but even still, they're not walking through his punches. They're still showing him a lot of respect. But anyway, the way I see that fight going, one of two ways. If Shakur Stevenson feels Teo's power early. Let's say Teo hits him with that right hand to the body. Shakur Stevenson might get too timid and too passive to even try to engage, because Teo has very fast reflexes, and Shakur Stevenson might move around that ring too much for his own good and leave a bad taste in the judge's mouth and cause him a decision loss to Teofimo Lopez, very similar to a Jermaine Ortiz-Teo fight, but more competitive. Now, the way for Shakur Stevenson to win that fight, Shakur Stevenson would have to trust his defense. He would have to step back and move just enough to make Teo miss and then make him pay and then get up out of there. If Shakur Stevenson trusts his defense and doesn't overcommit to movement to the point where he's out of position and he's able to still get off some sharp counters after Teo misses, Shakur Stevenson could win this fight as well via 12-round decision. This is a 50-50 fight. This is a fight that will elevate both guys to a higher standing on the pound-for-pound list, because I do have both guys on the pound-for-pound list, but the winner of this would easily be a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter. I'm hoping this fight happens. A lot of fanboys out there and haters that don't like Teofimo Lopez are happy that Turkey's not doing business with him. I disagree with that highly, man. It's better for boxing and for the fans if Teofimo Lopez and Turkey Al-Sheikh could work things out so Teo can continue to get these big fights. So we can see a Shakur Stevenson fight against Teo, or Subaru Matias, or Richardson Hitchens, or something like that. Anyway, with that being said, hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel, Low Nose Boxing, because Low Nose Boxing. I'm out.